Hey everyone, my name is Eino, and welcome to my talk titled Clash of Clans Bigger, Better Battle Pass. Title actually encapsulates the whole talk, so in essence this talk is about how we made Clash of Clans bigger, better, and added a battle pass. Before we get into the meat of the talk, let's give a brief introduction to Clash of Clans. So Clash of Clans is a build and battle game that came out in 2012. It exploded to success back in its day and was a pretty big phenomenon. And it grew even bigger in 2014 when the Clan Wars feature was added to the game. What do you do in Clash of Clans? Well, you build and you battle. So you attack other people's villages, steal their stuff, bring that stuff home to your village, use it to build it up, and then rinse and repeat. There's a strong social aspect to Clash of Clans, so you can also establish clans with your friends and then build those clans up, take them into wars, fight against other clans, and do other stuff together. The village is really at the heart of the game, so it's something that you start with, it's something that sticks with you the whole game. You build it up level by level by level, and as you level it up, as it grows, it becomes more powerful. You unlock new toys to play with, new cool ways to steal other people's stuff, and new ways to wage war. The core loop of Clash of Clans is pretty simple. So, as I mentioned, you steal other people's stuff in battles, then you bring that stuff home, and you use it to build up your own village and train armies. You can also get a bit of resources by building these resource collector buildings, gold mines, elixir collectors. Those will give you a small trickle of resources on the side. So that's Clash of Clans in a nutshell. If you have been following games media last year, you might have seen headlines like this one. So our revenue jumped pretty drastically in April last year when we introduced a feature called Gold Pass, which is a battle pass. You might know battle passes from games like Fortnite. It's a system where you sign up every month and get a progression structure to go through and get nice rewards out of it. And for us, that worked really well, and the revenue jumped pretty drastically. And what's better, we finished the year at nearly a 30% growth year over year. And like hearing me say this, you might feel like, ooh, these battle passes, they're pretty sweet. Maybe I should add one to my game. And you might be right. Maybe you should. But then on the other hand, it might be a terrible idea. And it really, we think, depends on where your game is at and what it needs. That sort of brings me to the bigger journey of this talk. So, touches on the Battle Pass, and it is a big part of our success last year, but it's not the only thing that this talk is about. This talk is about the journey over the past 2 years of the things that we did to actually make the Battle Pass succeed. How we see it is that we worked on the foundations of the game, fixed some fundamental problems that we had, that if we had left them alone and just did our Gold Pass feature, it wouldn't have succeeded as well. And to give you an analogy of the Infinity Gauntlet, this baby doesn't work on its own. It needs all of the stones to work. Gold Pass was just one of the stones, and the other things that we did were the rest. And once we did the Gold Pass, that was the moment where everything blew up. Given this context, I would actually go as far as to make a bold claim, which is that if we had done Gold Pass 2 years ago, without working on the fundamentals, it wouldn't have been a big success. In this talk, I will take you on a journey through those 2 years and show you what we did, why we did it, and why it actually supported the Gold Pass in bringing us great results. So you might be thinking, who am I to make this claim? Well, my name is Eino. I am a game designer / game lead from an imaginary country of Finland. I have loved games since I was a kid, and that wasn't my first career choice, because when we were little and we racked up a massive modem bill playing Quake online, my dad got really angry and said, playing all these games will never do anything good for you. So I took heed of that, and I went to get a real education. I studied in Helsinki School of Economics, majored in economics, and started getting really afraid of working in a consultancy or a bank or an insurance company towards the end of my studies. Luckily, I met this guy, Vili Lehdonvirta. He's a researcher in virtual economies. I met him at a dinner party in the Finnish embassy in Tokyo, and we started geeking out about the economy in Ultima Online. So great way to make new friends. We ended up starting a company together, and he was my mentor in getting into virtual economics and learning more about how do virtual economies work, what can you do with them, what are good ideas, what are bad ideas. We did that for 2 years, and that eventually landed me a job at a company called CCB Games. I moved to work in their studio in Shanghai, worked on a game there for 3.5 years, then ended up working in Berlin, Germany, at a company called Jager for 3 years. And then finally, I returned to my imaginary native land of Finland to work for Supercell. At Supercell, I started first at Boom Beach as a game designer and then moved to Clash of Clans in August 2017. And that's sort of where our journey begins. Beginning of the journey. In August 2017, I moved to Clash of Clans, and then September 2017, the game lead at the time told me, "You're going to take over the team now. It's going to be fine. Don't be scared. I know you are. Good luck." And he went to work on a new game project. It was an interesting time because the team was pretty new at the time. There were quite a few new faces, and a lot of movement was happening. The game itself had been declining for a while, so we were coming into a situation where the pressure was sort of on. We were, of course, young and bright-eyed, and we felt that we wanted to make a difference. Since we were a new team, and since we felt that we needed to do something, or otherwise the game would probably continue declining, it felt like a good opportunity to reassess how the game was doing 5 years in. So the game was 5 years old at this time. So, how was the game doing in 2017? A small preamble. Old games develop old game problems, and Clash had been live for 5 years at this point. And there had been a lot of content added, a lot of new things happening, and we were starting to see problems, or it was apparent at this point that there were some problems in the foundations of the game. And systems that were great, had been working very well until now, were sort of falling apart. And when we started looking at the problems, the first one that was very obvious, and we talked a lot about it at the time, was the exponential economy. So how the Clash economy works is, as you level up your village, things get more expensive. And they get more expensive in an exponential way. Now, this works great in the beginning of the game, because the costs are low, but as you get to the end game, the progression can slow to a crawl, and that gets really tedious, and it might make you want to stop playing. So, quite a big problem. The next problem we had was that our top-level players had absolutely nothing to do. And the reason was that it had been over 2 years since we had released Town Hall 11, and while we had done some content drops along the way, those were immediately burned through by the most dedicated players, and they were back at square one, maxed out, nothing to do. And this was concerning because these guys were our most active and most loyal players. If they didn't have anything to do, there was a high chance that they would start churning out. The third problem was that there was something weird going on in the mid-levels. So we were seeing that on Town Hall levels 9 and 10, a lot of people were actually not upgrading. They were getting to a maxed out state, but then they were stopping there. And that was really problematic because from our perspective, if people are not progressing, they don't want anything. And it's really hard for us then to provide them with cool stuff to do. If they don't want to move, things are tough for us. When we investigated this, it turned out that the clan war system that we had done was actually putting some social barriers in the way of upgrading. And we needed to do something to those barriers. So the last problem we identified was that our conversion was not great. It wasn't super bad, but it wasn't great. And we felt that maybe we needed to do something about it. And the way we generally think about tackling problems at Supercell is retention always trumps monetization. So the logic for that is, if you have retention, you can always figure out monetization. If you don't have retention, well, monetization doesn't really matter. At the end of 2017, we decided to break the exponential economy. And just to give you a little briefer on what the exponential economy means in practice. So in Clash of Clans, the basic components are essentially resources and time. And resources, gold, elixir, dark elixir, those you get from playing the game, stealing people's stuff. Time is just something that exists. Everyone has the same amount. Gems you can buy with money, and you can use gems to either get more resources or get some more, keep some time. Then the things you spend these on, well, you spend them on upgrading, training armies, whatnot. In the early game, this is all good and fair. The sources and sinks are fairly balanced, and you get a nice cadence of upgrades. You earn some resources as you raid people's villages. You bring those back. You start some upgrades. You can get several upgrades done in a day, and the durations of the upgrades last from minutes to hours. The problems start happening when you get to the late game. That's where the exponential economy kicks in. What this means in practice is that the sinks start outpacing the sources big time. Suddenly, to start a single upgrade, you actually need to instead of raiding one village, you need to raid 20 villages. And instead of an upgrade taking 8 hours, it can take 8 days. And naturally, this will cause some frustration. To give you a concrete example, if you take a level 7 cannon, upgrade it to level 8, it will cost 200,000 gold and take 24 hours. That's like early mid-game level, so it's still pretty good. 200,000 is something that you can get maybe in 2 attacks, so not too painful, pretty okay. Now, if you take the max level cannon, which is level 14, you upgrade from 13 to 14, it will take you 7.5 million and 192 hours, which is equal to 8 days. And this is quite painful already. So we decided to make this better. The first thing we did was we increased the income. We found multiple places where we could inject some resources into the system and make it a little bit easier for people to start upgrades. In a similar vein, we cut the upgrade times and cost, so working the other side of the equation, and we cut pretty drastically up to 80% of the costs around town hall levels 4 to 10. Different amounts in different levels. But to really solve this problem, we figured that we need something new also that lets us deal with the problem in the future. These kind of tweaking the economy is nice, but it didn't really solve the fundamental problem. And we needed something for that. And that thing that we added was called magic items. And what magic items do is that they give you guaranteed results. So one magic item always has the same result. It has the same effect. And if you use the example I gave previously, upgrading level 7 cannon to level 8, and we use a magic item that gives you a time skip, it costs 200,000 gold, takes 24 hours to build. But if you use one of these magic items that we just added, instead of spending 24 hours, you can just spend 1 book of building and it skips the timer. And then to the second example of the max level cannon, costs 7.5 million and 192 hours, 8 days. Instead of spending that or waiting that, you can just spend 1 book of building to skip the whole timer. It doesn't matter how long the timer is, 1 book of building will always skip it. So the result is always guaranteed. And no matter where you are on the town hall levels, you can always use one of these to finish an upgrade immediately. We thought it was a pretty cool solution because it's something new that adds to the economy, which means that it's tightly controllable. So we can use this as a surgical way to tackle the problems where they come up and not actually have negative effects elsewhere. Also, as a solution, it's pretty tidy. We tried to make it as simple as possible. And while it adds a little bit of complexity, it's still, we think, better than reworking the entire economy to fix the problems. Just to give you an idea of what different items do, we have the hammers. Hammers give you a level directly to the thing that you're upgrading. There's several types. So there's hammers for and magic items for different types. There's one on the left is for troops. Then we have something for spells. Then we have something for upgrading your heroes or adding a level to your heroes. And then finally something to give a level to your buildings. A similar vein, we have books. The first one allows you to skip timers on your troop upgrades. Second one allows you to skip timers on your spell upgrades. Third on your hero upgrades. And then lastly, the Book of Building on your building upgrades. Then we have runes, one for each resource type. These allow you to fill your resource storages to max capacity, whatever it is. And then finally, we have potions. And potions have nice little effects that are temporary. You can, for example, boost your builders for a time. You can add levels to your heroes for a time. You can get your troops to max level for a time, and so on and so forth. Having done magic items and all the other tweaks to the economy to make progression better, we felt that we had succeeded in solving the economy problem. And we had found tools to best the exponential economy. We were pretty happy. The solution was good. The problem was that there were a lot of players who didn't really care about it. So we still had the maxed out players who didn't actually want to upgrade anything, so magic items didn't matter for them. And then we had the mid-level players, Town Hall 9 and 10 war players, who just didn't want to upgrade. So they didn't care about magic items either. It was clear to us that our work wasn't done yet. And the next thing we did, well, we proceeded in the order that we had sort of thought up before. We started working on giving our max level players something to do. This was in summer 2018 that we set out to solve the next problem. So the problem for these max level players was that it had been so long since the release of Town Hall 11. It had been 2 years. These guys, being the most active, the most loyal players that we had, they had been playing the game actively all the while since, and they were basically constantly hitting the cap. Whenever we dropped some new content a little bit, they would immediately consume it and end up in the same state, maxed out, nothing to do. So these smaller content upgrades weren't enough anymore, and we needed to do something else. And again, this was a problem that we really needed to fix, because if we didn't add any content, there was a risk that these players would start churning out of the game because, well, it's boring if you don't have anything to do. And you might think, well, just add another Town Hall level. But for us, it wasn't so simple. We had this tendency to think that, hey, is this really the thing we want to do? Maybe we should actually come up with a new content loop for the end game players, so that when you're in Town Hall 11, you graduate into something else, and then you enter that new loop and keep playing that. And maybe that would be a great thing to keep you happy. The reason sort of we thought about this way was that we have a pretty small team and we don't have a lot of capacity for making content. There's reasons why we have small teams. I'll explain it towards the end of the presentation, but that wasn't something we wanted to compromise. So we always tend to look for solutions that scale nicely and allow us to stay small and do things in a smart way. Coming from this angle, we were thinking about this as a challenge, like, hey, maybe we can actually get really smart here and come up with something for the end game players that will keep them excited forever, and it's going to be great for us. But in the end, when we thought about it more, it ended up being a really stupid idea. The way we kind of concluded was that if we really wanted to pull this off, we would need to create something that would be more compelling or as compelling as the core game of Clash is. So we would have to, in essence, we would have to build a game that is as good or better than Clash of Clans. And not only that, we would have to have that game speak and win the hearts of the players who love Clash of Clans. Once we realized this, we just kind of concluded that, hey, let's stop searching for a silver bullet. Let's just give the players what they signed up for and what they expect. That meant doing another Town Hall level. That said, we felt that whatever we do, the bar can't be low. And we needed to do a really good job with this update, with this Town Hall level. It needed to be something that really delights players and really makes them want to upgrade. And we felt that we really needed to hit that level of quality with it. As you might know, the thing that we did was Town Hall 12. So to achieve this sort of delightful upgrade level that gets people really excited and makes them want to upgrade, we decided to tackle it by adding novel, exciting gameplay. And we did 3 things with this update. We added the Town Hall that fights back. So first time ever, Town Hall was weaponized. If you poke it violently, it gets angry. It will shoot back. It will try to destroy your army. Then we added Electro Dragons, which are super powerful and super slow. And then finally, we figured that Clan Castle is pretty boring because it always deploys on the side of the village. Maybe we could spice that up by delivering it in the middle of the village. And we did that with siege machines. So siege machines are a new way of attacking. You put your Clan Castle troops inside the siege machine, and then the siege machine will deliver the troops in various ways to the enemy village. There was a slight social prestige element to the siege machines as well. So siege machines are something that you can donate downwards to your clan mates. This twist was nice because it made it also a nice thing for your clan for you to upgrade to Town Hall 12. In addition to these novel gameplay elements, we of course also added a lot of content. We added a level for nearly everything in the game, from defensive buildings to resource storages to resource collectors to barracks to everything, pretty much. And at the same time, we added also a level to nearly all the troops that we had. And in hindsight, that wasn't a great idea because it's actually good to hold some content back in reserve, and we should have done this here as well. But we kind of felt that, hey, maybe it's nice to, since it's been such a long time since people got new content, maybe it's actually nice to just release all at once and give them a lot of stuff to play with. At this point, we had 2 problems down, 1 problem or 2 problems to go, and we had nice rewards. The economy was better. We had a way to deal with the exponential economy. We had fresh things to do with Town Hall 12, lots of new gameplay content for the max level players, and it felt like a good time to shift our attention to the lower levels, namely the war players stuck on Town Hall levels 9 and 10. We decided to start working on this problem next. And this was at the end of 2018, where we decided, let's get everyone to progress. As I have been mentioning a couple of times, the problem with people not wanting to upgrade had its roots in clan wars. And before we dive into the reasons, let's give you a refresher of what clan wars is. Clash is a game where you're upgrading by day and you're being social by night. And it's called Clash of Clans. And until April 2014, well, there were clans, but there wasn't a lot of clashing between the clans. And then Clan Wars came along. And that with Clan Wars, social gameplay, social PvP arrived on the scene. And suddenly you had clan versus clan play. You could basically take your clan, take it into a war with another clan, just at the press of a button. Very easy feature to access. And the matchmaking was geared up so that it was very casual. So matches that you were getting would be always equivalent. So if I have a Town Hall 11, then the opponent would have a Town Hall 11. Or if we have 5 Town Hall 11s, then the opponent would have 5. If we have Town Hall 9s, 5 of them, opponent would have 5 Town Hall 9s. So always seeking to make matches really fair. The feature turned out to be massively popular. There had been a total need, a hole in people's game to just play with other people and fight against other clans. And when Clan Wars came along, it supercharged everything and it made the game rise to new heights. So, a couple of years into Clan Wars, we started seeing some problems rise up. The first one was that people who were really good and really serious about Clan Wars had started to figure out how the matchmaking algorithm really worked. And this allowed them to build their villages in a way that made them look fair to the matchmaking algorithm, but in reality was not fair. And since this was the case, they would actually end up winning more often, getting matches that were biased for them to win, and they would win more often, causing a really bad experience for the other side. Another problem was that there wasn't really good incentive socially for people to upgrade. So since you were getting always even matches, there wasn't a reason for clan leaders to say, hey, let's upgrade you to the next town hall level. There wasn't really a reason. If you upgraded your town hall level, let's say you went from 9 to 10, your opponent would go from 9 to 10. So it's a zero-sum game. And in fact, the best strategy was that you would upgrade to the max of a level and then stay there, because that would give you likely a worse opponent in the matchmaking. Finally, even with everything, all this, another problem in the system was that there wasn't really an end game. So you were fighting these wars over and over again, but to what end? In this system, you could never figure out who's actually the best clan in the world. And some people started tracking the win streaks, but it didn't really satisfy anyone because the top win streak clans would actually never meet in the game. So we started to think, what do we do about this? From our side, what we felt that we needed was, we needed village strength to matter. So to get people moving from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12, we needed your village strength to matter for these competitive players who really cared about winning. Currently, they didn't, because whenever they upgraded, they got equal opponents or even screwed up their chances of winning. So we needed to fix that. Another thing we needed to fix is we needed real competition. We need really people to be, these ultra competitive people, they needed to be able to show who's actually the best. Again, when we thought about it, we started from thinking, should we rework the existing system? And you could argue that you could do it, but when we thought about it, it didn't seem really like a good idea. Namely because we had a lot of people who had invested immense time to this and mastering the system and getting really good at it. And we felt that if we would change the existing system, we would take something crucial away from those players. And we didn't want to do that disservice to them. The breakthrough happened when we realized that, hey, what if instead of fixing the existing system, what if we add a competitive endgame layer on top of it? That actually worked as an idea wonderfully well. At the same time, we felt that we could boost the economy. So we had solved a lot of problems, but the game was still a bit stingy in the end game at some points. And we felt that actually adding something new would actually give us a good opportunity to give even more. Then, most importantly, if we added something new, we could make sure that it actually worked in a way that would allow us to find out who's actually the best clan in the world. And the feature that we did was called Clan War Leagues. So Clan War Leagues is a totally new system of clan wars. It uses the same basic structure, but it's run totally differently. So normal clan wars, you can sign up every 2 days. Here, you can sign up once per month. So at the beginning of the month, there's an opportunity to sign up for Clan War Leagues. If you take that, you get matched with 7 other clans for 7 wars for 1 week. And sort of what we did with the matchmaking is we fixed it by not having any matchmaking. The Clan War Leagues works in a league structure where you get seeded into the league structure based on your strength. But after that, it's free for all. All your opponents are just from the same, randomly picked from the same league. And then once you start, it's all about how good you are and how strong your villages are. So if you do well against your opponents in your bracket, you get promoted. If you do badly, you get demoted. And again, it's a combination now of skill and strength that will take you higher. So there's 18 leagues in total. And if you make it to the very top, so the top league is Champion 1. If you make it there and you make it to the top of the leaderboard for Champion 1, you kind of get invited to our offline qualifiers for Clash of Clans World Championship. The cool thing about this is that you don't actually need to care about esports to make it here. It's okay not to even know about them. All you need to do is play your game, be excited, upgrade your village, be really good, and If you do that, you have a chance of ending up in the World Championships. Rewards get better as you go higher, so there's always a reason to push higher. The rewards that you get are mostly feeding into progress. So you get magic items, you get resources, and you get exclusive cosmetics if you participate in Clan War Leagues. When it came to the cadence of Clan War Leagues, we wanted to sort of set people on a nice cycle, give them some structure into their game. So Clan War Leagues is run at the beginning of every month, and then you get nice rewards from it that help you upgrade your village and get stronger, and then you can be stronger for the next round of Clan War Leagues. So by this point, we had worked for a year. We had tackled several foundation level issues. We had fixed the exponential economy by speeding up progress and adding magic items. We had done Town Hall 12, added content for our endgame players and made them have stuff to do again. And finally, we had fixed the incentives for upgrading for Town Hall level 9 and 10 players, or remove the social barriers for it. And then, so at this point, we were looking at the fourth problem, and we went like, maybe we could actually do this now. And this is where Gold Pass enters the scene.
Clash of Clans just got more challenging. Introducing Season Challenges. Test your mettle with daily and weekly tasks. Battle your way through multiple challenges at the same time. Earn challenge points to advance down the rewards road and unlock up to 30 tiers of awesome prizes. Season Bank is the new resource storage that lets you double your winnings with every raid. Unlock Gold Pass each season to earn a bigger bank, amazing boosts, and exclusive hero skins. The road awaits you, Chief.
When we started thinking about how to fix the conversion problem, we didn't actually start with Gold Pass in mind, or Battle Pass. What we started with was, we had several needs that we needed to tackle. First one was, we needed something that would be low price point, because we have a lot of players in countries with less income overall, and the current offering that we had was sort of pricing them outside, and they couldn't actually feasibly get anything in the game. The value just wasn't high enough. So we felt that we really need something that is low priced enough and high value enough to get them excited about it. Then we wanted, whatever we did, we wanted it to feel fresh, so that when you looked at it, you went like, oh, that's cool. That's something new. I haven't seen that before. Maybe I could get excited about this. And finally, we wanted something that wasn't a skip ahead. We wanted something that lets you, as a player, work for your progression. And instead of just getting to it by spending money, we wanted you to spend some money and then have a nice experience. And putting all these things, all these four things together, actually came together. Why wouldn't we do a Battle Pass? And we did. And we called it Gold Pass. Starting out with the Gold Pass, once we decided, okay, let's go for a Battle Pass, we had a high-level goal, of course, same thing that I've mentioned before. We wanted to fix conversion. We wanted to increase it. But at the same time, since Battle Passes are actually great for improving retention as well, we included that in and decided to treat that as a secondary goal. When we delved into the design, we broke things down into a lot of sub-goals that we wanted to tackle based on the needs of the game. First off, we wanted, like I said before, we wanted this to be incredible value for money. We wanted this to be a total no-brainer. And we did it by making it have over 25 times the dollar value of progression content and other stuff. The price point was set to $4.99, which satisfied our low price point requirement. Then it's just a question of loading up enough value to make it really attractive. Cool thing about Battle Pass is that you can actually load a lot of value in a Battle Pass and still have your economy protected, because it's just a monthly thing. No one can buy it multiple times. So your economy is safe. The next thing was, we wanted to have exclusive cosmetics. This feeds to do things. It feeds into the fresh appeal. So this was something new that we didn't have. Then it feeds into satisfying max out players who don't actually need the progression content, but exclusive cosmetics is something that they still could get behind if they're inclined. The exclusive cosmetics that we did were hero skins. So for the first time ever, we added hero skins into the game. Finally, we wanted you to get something for your clan mates when you actually made this purchase. And our solution to that was that we gave you 1 gem donations. So in Clash of Clans, you can donate troops to your clan mates. It usually is pretty tedious. You need to train the troops and then you give them away. With 1 gem donation, you can actually donate them with gems on the very cheap, just 1 gem per troop. It turned out that this is actually one of the biggest things that people love about Gold Pass. Going further on design goals, we thought, okay, who is this for and who does this need to cater to? First off, we wanted this to be accessible to all the players. We did this in a classic Battle Pass fashion, so you have 2 tracks. You have the free track, and then you have the gold track that you get access to if you pay. You gain progress on both simultaneously. So if you're just playing along, you can play for free. You don't need to care about it. You make some progress. And then maybe at some point you'll be interested in buying the gold pass if you make it really far. But everyone gets access. Everyone gets to participate in this feature for free. That was a really important goal for us. Then we wanted the gold pass to appeal to maxed out players. So as you know, we have a lot of players who are very excited about the game. They consume our content very quickly. They push to the max. They upgrade everything, and we wanted this to cater for those guys as well. To do that, we had the hero skins in the mix, and then we had 1 gem donations, and finally we had a training boost that lets you train your troops faster. Then we also wanted this to appeal to latecomers. Some battle passes work in a way where if you come late, you have no chance of finishing it. We didn't want that. We wanted everyone to have a chance to finish it, even if you come late. If you're leading a busy life, you might not have that much time to spend in the game. You might actually realize that the season is ongoing at the end of the month. We wanted to give you a chance to come in very late, last minute, and then have a fair chance of completing the whole thing. To do this, we made sure that there's enough points to go around. So the weekly challenges actually have almost double the number of points that you need to max out the whole thing. And not only that, there's a lot of synergies between the tasks. So if you come in late, you'll have a lot of tasks accumulated up that actually work in a synergistic way. So if you play, you'll actually make progress in a lot of them at the same time, which makes progress really quick if you're coming late. Lastly, we considered how do we want players to actually interact and play with this feature, and how do we want to actually operate it ourselves as a team. First, we wanted to reward you for being active. We wanted you to get value from coming back on a regular cadence. And to do that, we have daily challenges and weekly challenges. Daily challenges refresh every day, so it's good if you come in every day. That lets you make a nice chunk of progress during the course of the month. And then weekly challenges unlock on a weekly cadence. They have a lot of points in them. And if you are very active, it means that you can't finish the whole thing in the first week. You actually need to come back in the subsequent weeks to be able to reach the top. We wanted to make sure that everyone gets to the end. So no matter if you're a super hardcore player, a casual player, Sunday player, forgetful player, I don't know, whatever kind of player, we wanted you to get to the end. Because we want you to enjoy the game. We want you to also be tempted by the gold pass. So if you're active, you should be able to max out each season with relative ease. And the most important thing that feeds into this is that there's plenty of points to go around. Like I said before, there's nearly double the amount of points that you have available that you need to max out. Then we wanted to make sure that this does not actually become a burden to you. So it shouldn't increase your playtime. To do that, we made sure that the tasks are something that you can just complete very casually. You don't even need to pay attention that much to what's in there. You should just make progress automatically as you play the game in your style. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that this thing would be operationally sustainable for us as a team. We don't have that many developers on the team. Like I said before, content is something that we're hard-pressed to produce. So we wanted to make this something that we can run every month with relative ease and still have plenty of time to develop content for other sides of the game. And to do this, we focused the unique offering each month on a single new hero skin that we're committed to deliver, and then offer nice progression rewards for the rest of the value. Then finally, we had a couple of other things that we wanted to get done that we didn't, and these are still work in progress, might show up at some point, might not. We wanted you to get benefits from being a loyal customer. For example, if you have bought the Gold Pass 3 times, we wanted to give you a small perk for that. And then we wanted to give you even more benefits towards your clan. And we had some nice ideas. Maybe we'll work on them at some point, maybe we won't. But we would love to. Let's see if we have the time. And so, Gold Pass sliding into place, we had our final thing, and that made everything blow up. So, let's talk a little bit about the results. Starting off with the exponential economy and making progression more fun again. This is a distribution of our players by Town Hall. And the dark blue bar is Town Hall levels 11 and up. Light blue is Town Hall levels 9 and 10. And then the lightest blue is Town Hall levels 1 to 8. Early days, when we started on this journey, or in 2018 in June, when we released Town Hall 12, we had 12% of players on Town Hall 11. So a pretty exclusive club, not a lot of people percentage-wise there, and it's an obvious sign that it's actually pretty hard to get there. And then by the end of our journey in December 2019, when we released Town Hall 13, the picture was very different. We had 35% of our players on Town Hall level 11 and up, and overall the distribution was pretty even. So we were in a much better state in terms of having players progressing at an even speed across different levels. As a small caveat, our monthly active users have been fairly stable throughout this period of time. So this really just represents the changing composition in our player base and where people are at the game. Next, just to talk about a little bit about the importance of content and releases like Town Hall 12 and Town Hall 13. This is some evidence from the Town Hall 13 launch at the end of last year, looking at 30 days before and 30 days after the release. The first learning from this is that players are really excited for fresh content in Clash of Clans. And we saw the population on Town Hall 12 and up grow by 17% after the release of Town Hall 13. So what this essentially means is that we saw people from Town Hall 11 actually upgrading to Town Hall 12 just because we released new content. So much that it caused the total population to grow 17%, which is really cool. Another thing is that it's pretty obvious that whenever we release content, people get excited also to spend some money. And we saw the unique pairs increase by 10% when we released Town Hall 13. And finally, we saw our revenue react very positively to new content, namely because it had been already 1.5 years since the release of Town Hall 12, and we expect that a lot of people had already reached the end state. But in any case, we saw a revenue increase of 75% when we released Town Hall 13. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of the Gold Pass. And of course, like I showed you the news articles about revenue in the beginning, but that's not, from our perspective, that's not the coolest thing. The coolest thing is that we actually have way more payers than before. So much actually that there's 4 times as many as before. And what's even cooler is that 70% of our Gold Pass players actually come back every month. So on average, if you bought the Gold Pass 1 month, there's a 70% chance that you'll return and buy again in the next month. Finally, perhaps most importantly, let's see what happened to the conversion problem that we had. And this slide shows you the monthly unique pairs in the game. And you can see the light blue bars reach up all the way to 2018, March 2018. And then from there on start the darker blue bars at the start of the release of the Gold Pass. And as you can see, there's a lot more monthly unique pairs. And what's even cooler is the Gold Pass actually impacted our economy in a way that we have more pairs and everyone's paying less. We succeeded in broadening our player base, making the game more healthy, giving a price point that more people are comfortable paying. So To end this presentation, I'm going to go through some lessons we picked up along the way. And before I get to that, a couple of caveats that I think are good to mention, because we do things in a special way. First is that Clash is an 8-year-old free-to-play game. It's a pretty venerable age for a game, pretty venerable age for a free-to-play game. And of course, that affects how we approach things, how we see things. And the takeaways presented here can be a bit specific to those. And operating older live games in general. We have fairly small teams. And this is a thing that small means different things in different companies. For us, small means that Clash of Clans team is 20 developers, 20 people with 12 developers and 8 people working in support roles. Of course, this means that it affects and molds our thinking on how we approach things, how we work around things, how we plan things in a big way. We don't have small teams for the sake of having small teams. Of course, it would be nice to have big teams and produce a lot of content, but we actually believe as a company that small teams let us deliver the best product, and it lets people have maximum ownership over what they do, and that together just brings us to the best results. And the ownership thing is actually super important overall in this whole thing, and that's my third point. The game teams at Supercell have full ownership over their games. There's nothing that can't be decided in the game team. No one comes to second guess your decisions. It's all you all the way. I don't think the journey that we had in the past 2 years would have been possible in any other kind of a structure, since it's hard to imagine someone having patience towards a game team that says, well, we'll just work on these other things for 2 years and then we'll look at the revenue problem. I think we could do it because we are just responsible to ourselves and we really believed that this is the best thing to do, but in a different structure it might be hard, or even impossible. The first takeaway I have is you really need to understand your game. Each game is a unique little snowflake. Each one has its own problems and its own solutions. And if you go full circle from the bold claim, I think Battle Pass or Gold Pass wouldn't have been a success 2 years ago, because if we didn't understand the fundamental problems that we had in the game, we would have done Gold Pass and have it land in a ground that just simply isn't fertile or a game that's not ready for it. If we didn't have the magic items, we wouldn't have rewards for the Gold Pass. If we didn't have content for the maxed out players, Gold Pass wouldn't be interesting to them. If we didn't fix remove the barriers to upgrading for Town Hall 9s and 10s, they wouldn't care about the progression rewards in the Gold Pass. So I truly believe that the Gold Pass wouldn't have been a success if we had done it 2 years ago. Our process for understanding the game starts with feedback. And we think that you should take all the feedback you can get. Be a sponge for feedback. And the trick is that you listen to everything, but you don't need to believe everything, or you don't need to react to everything. But listening to everything allows you to sort of formulate a picture of the world of how is the reality really looking? What does it look like? Where are the real problems? People say different things, but when you listen to everything, then a picture starts forming, and then once you have that picture, then you can choose what to believe yourself and which problems to start tackling. And figure out your foundations. Our foundation is pretty simple in the end. It wasn't a simple process to discover it, but in the end, it's pretty simple. The heart of the game, the ultimate foundation of the game, is the village. Clash is really a game about building your village. It's you might kind of, from the outside, think that it's a combat game, it's a tower defense game, it's about attacks, it's about looting. It is, but it's really, deep down, it's about the journey of upgrading your village, making that grow, investing in that over time. It's the one thing that people start with. It's the one thing that people stick with the game for. Sort of, we had this process where we were thinking about, okay, so should we come up with a different thing for endgame players? Should we invent a new thing? And try to kind of find the silver bullet that solves all our problems and adds this new exciting thing that endgame players will play over and over again. And it wasn't a good idea in the end. So my advice would be, don't be like us, be like you, be smarter, don't search for silver bullets, just double down on what makes your game special and what is valuable in your game, and then find the right solutions to that. And Battle Pass itself, it can be a solution for your game as well, but it might not also be. It really depends on what your game needs. So first figure out that and then tailor the solutions to those needs. Second takeaway is be generous. Be generous with the players, give them a fun experience, make them have a fun time. In Clash, make them have progress, make them get to the last levels, make their life enjoyable. And what we found in the process of the journey is that when we were generous, we got more back from the players ourselves. We believe that fun time and having a good time, just enjoyable experiences, they also make you more excited, they make you more willing to spend on stuff. I think some developers would argue that, hey, if your economy is too loose, then people won't have to pay anything for anything and they will get everything for free, and it's not great. And that's not wrong, it's true. But then it's also true that if your economy is too stingy, you will also get people who play the game forever but never spend any money. That's not great either, because they'll reach the end of the content without actually spending anything. And there again, it makes sense from our perspective to search for the sweet spot and give people those great deals that let them spend a little bit and enjoy your content, and then both sides win. Battle passes, as such, can be a great tool to find that sweet spot because, like I said earlier, you can make it a great deal, immense value, but it's only once per month, so economy is still protected. So, my last point of the talk, last takeaway. It's always worth it to focus on the long term. And when we were working on the Gold Pass last year, our goal wasn't really to make the papers. Our goal was to fix a problem and provide a fun, delightful experience to our players. And that sort of needs to be the way you think about things, we think. So you always have your eyes on the horizon, you work on problems that matter, you keep chipping away, making the game better, making your players happier, making sure that your team is working well and everyone's happy working on the game. And you need to, of course, know your fundamentals. You need to have a plan. You need to challenge yourselves. And sometimes the features that you have planned out don't work. That's okay. Be patient. You need longevity to actually make it this long. And 8 years might sound like a long time for a game to run. For us, we can sort of feel that it can be just the beginning. And rest assured, we have some very cool ideas already lined up for the rest of the year. So look forward to those. Thank you.